Hey folks, Dustin DePirac here. I am the last man standing here at the North Texas press box out here at Apogee Stadium. Brand new place they just opened up a couple weeks ago. And yeah, that happened. Indiana falls 24-21 to North Texas, a team that hasn't won more than 3 games in the last 5 years, is in the Sun Belt Conference, and gave up at least 41 points to each of their first 3 opponents. They had shut out Indiana through the first 3 quarters. Indiana's first touchdown was on defense on an interception by Mark Murphy, and they got 2 more on really busted coverages. Cody Latimer was preposterously wide open down the sideline. Kofi Hughes the same, kind of on a middle seam route, and ended up making it look respectable. So the final was 24-21, but one way or another, Indiana still loses, falls to 1-3 on the year through their non-conference schedule, which means if they want to win a bowl game, they've got to go. They've got to get at least 5 wins in the Big Ten. They have not done that since 1993. So yeah, there's a lot of hope right at you right there. But things didn't look good really at all. They got killed, absolutely killed on the line again. Just totally blown up. It looked a lot like the Ball State game in that way. I guess it was still a little bit different because they were playing different schemes. They were attacking a little bit more, like they said, attacking gaps as opposed to trying to play heavy in the man. Didn't really matter. They still seemed like they got swallowed up pretty good. The final tally, North Texas goes 226 yards to Indiana's 50. So that's an average per carry of 4.7 to 1.9. Didn't look that close. Indiana, I think, got more than almost half of its rushing yards in the fourth quarter, and up until then, I think they had maybe 28 yards. They had, I think, 1 yard in the third quarter, and really couldn't move the football at all with that kind of blocking. Ed Wright Baker got sacked 3 times. Dusty Keel got sacked once. So yeah, it wasn't close on either line. Lance Dunbar, who everyone was talking about this week, Mike Eckler said, is a guy that's going to have a long career on Sundays, probably one of the best backs they'll face this year, and he looked it. He went for 127 yards, I believe. Yeah, 127 yards and 24 carries. Also caught 7 passes for 152 yards, including an 83-yard touchdown, just catch and run. They really just couldn't stop him, basically. I mean, he was really slippery, just got out on the edges and made a lot of people miss. Really fast, really elusive. Made a lot of plays for them for North Texas, and that set up a lot of other things. Derek Thompson was their quarterback. Wasn't particularly spectacular. 10 for 20 and threw a pick, but also threw for 201 yards and 3 touchdowns. A couple times Indiana had guys really kind of sort of draped on receivers, I guess, in the end zone and failed to make a play on it. North Texas basically either out-jumped him or out-muscled him, somehow managed to make a play on 2 balls that were in the end zone, one by Chris Bynes, another one by Michael Outlaw, that helped put him up 24-0, and it took Indiana a long time to get anything moving whatsoever offensively. Part of that, there was a shakeup with the receivers. DeMarlo Belcher supposedly didn't make the trip because of a minor injury, so kind of surprised about that one too. And Kofi Hughes and Deweese Wilson also apparently suffered injuries during the week that kept them out of the first quarter. And so really with that, I think they were starting Jamon Chester, Dre Muhammad, and I think Jay McCants maybe, or Cody Latimer, one way or another. They started some freshman receivers, some young guys. It took a while for the passing game to get going either. Wright Baker finished 23 for 40, did not look great, threw a pick, finished with 209 yards, no touchdowns, got sacked 3 times. He eventually got pulled for Dusty Keel. Dusty didn't look spectacular. He was 7 for 12, but ends up with 145 yards based on those 2 wide open broken covers as it turned into scores. Wilson says that does not make for a quarterback controversy. You're not going to see, the competition, I guess, still remains as it stands, but Ed Wright Baker is still a starter. They're not going to switch that up because Dusty found guys really open. But, it does raise a question. Ed wasn't particularly good today. It definitely seemed like he, I don't know if regressed is the word, but kind of took a step back, didn't look nearly as good with progressions or anything else as he did last week. Didn't look as good moving around the pocket, got sacked a few times, held on the ball too long sometimes. Missed some receivers, but then didn't get a lot out of the running game. They were, as Wilson said, kind of too one-dimensional. So they had some issues there. But really all around, this was not anywhere near as close as the score indicated at all, and one that Indiana's going to have to take back with them. They, again, we're talking about just a lack of emotion, a lack of fire. Was a lot like the Ball State game, if not worse, in terms of that, in terms of just playing hard early on. Wilson said he just basically just asked them, play with some pride, play for your state, for your university, for your family, for anything in the second half. Looked a little bit better, obviously, just with the scores. They made it a little bit close, but obviously not interesting enough. They, had a shot, I guess, at an onside kick that would have given them a chance, but didn't happen. But yeah, one way or another, they finish 1-3. They've got 2 losses to non-BCS schools. The only win they get out of the non-conference schedule is against an FCS team against South Carolina State. So things don't look particularly good going into Big Tens. They got Penn State next week. Obviously, that's not right now. A juggernaut as maybe has been in the past. They've had some issues. Got crushed by Alabama, just barely beat Temple. But Penn State does not, or I'm sorry, Indiana does not look like a team that's ready for an upset right now. A lot of things apparently have to change. Basically, getting killed on the line, not a lot going well offensively, defensively, or anything else. And we're only 5:40 into this, but I don't have anybody to talk to me, so I'm kind of getting bored, and I'm just going to end this one. But one way or another, yeah, Indiana 1-3, really in a big hole after the non-conference schedule. Thanks, guys.